Hey y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and today I'm going to work in my art journal. It has been a hot second since I've kind of just freeform played in my art journal, and that's what I want to do. I am using this gorgeous piece of cardstock from a set. Let me grab it. It is from this set from Dina Wakley Collage Collective. I love it. And I'm going to use this as some inspiration and just play with some fun mixed media and kind of see what comes of it as I play. So got this piece of tissue paper. You can see I'm just starting to pull out some of the ideas that I have. So I will put this all together. I will link everything that I end up using down below. Otherwise, I'm going to put you guys on fast forward. Let's go. You guys, I absolutely just wanted to play with this art journal entry. I wanted to play with some mixed media. I did not have a deeper meaning or purpose behind this particular entry. I just wanted to put things down on the paper. And so I entitled this one Everything But the Kitchen Sink because I feel like that's what it has on it. It has all the different supplies, a lot of different techniques, just some fun mixed media play. I have been loving working on backgrounds. And so what you're going to see here is I have some tissue paper that I tore, and I'm just going to I'm actually using Mod Podge today, which I don't normally recommend in my art journal. I have just got to get to the store or order some more collage medium for my art journal, but I'm going to use it today, and I'm going to leave it open to dry for a good amount of time before I close this up to avoid the stick that often comes with Mod Podge. So just fair warning on that. So I'm getting this down on the page. I just wanted to put all the things down. And so everything but the kitchen sink, all the different pieces, I decided to tear it up. I knew I wanted to take that piece of paper that I showed you in the beginning, cut it up and use all of those small pictures and have them kind of cascading down the page. And I thought, well, if they're cascading down the page, then I bet some other things will be cascading down the page as well. So I kind of took that and just ran with it. I'm loving working in my new space because I can see all my things a little bit easier. I can get to them a little bit easier. It doesn't feel like a big chore to get out my mixed media. And it was just a good reminder of all of the things I have as I was moving. So I'm actually using some collage pieces. This is some vintage paper that I have from books that I have torn apart to use for junk journals and for different kinds of scrapbooks. And I'm actually just cutting out some hearts that I will then use as collage. I don't really worry about the words that are on the page because most of them get covered up, but I think these are actually from a fairy tale book. So that will work just fine for what I'm doing. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to use Mod Podge, and really I am just working on layering and adding a background. I know that those pictures are going to be in the foreground. I want to have a lot of different things in the background. I do notice that in some of the pictures there are these pieces that look just like this heart with the words in it as if it were cut out from a book. And so I thought, well, I'll just include that in the background and it'll kind of bring together the full idea of those pre-done pictures from the scrapbook paper from Dina Wakley, and then I'll be able to incorporate that using all of these pieces. And again, I'm planning on putting color on top of this. These are just some of the elements that will start peeking through some of the different distress oxide spray that I plan to use. So covering it up really well, getting it all over the page and trying to make sure there's no pattern necessarily. I don't want things to be equally spaced. I want them to kind of just look like they're floating down the page. That's the plan. I just need to cut off some of the extra things that are hanging off the side, and then I'm going to let this dry really well and add one more element before I start adding color. We're going to stick with a heart theme and this stencil and use one of my favorite things ever, which is texture paste. I love using texture paste, and I especially like putting it in the background before you add color, because just like the name implies, you're getting texture. When you work it through a stencil like this, you're getting hints of the shape of the stencil, but once I add color on top, it's not going to jump out. So if I were to put the color down first, then add the texture paste, if it was Distress Oxide, the texture paste would pick up some of the color. However, it would be a very distinct look like you would see all the shapes through the stencil. When you put the texture paste down first and then add the color on top of it, to me it creates a softer look and it makes it become more a part of the background. And like I said, backgrounds have been my jam recently. I feel like I could fill art journal after art journal of just backgrounds. That seems to be like where my head is going right now. I'm not thinking of like focal points. I'm just wanting to just play and create fun backgrounds that I could go back to possibly at a later time. All right, 2 Distress Oxide sprays. We're going with a pink and a blue because I know there's a lot of purple in the papers that I plan to use. So that is a natural byproduct of the pink and the blue. And I took that, dried it. Now I'm adding some splats of water because of course this is Distress Oxide. So that will increase the oxidation. And then ta-da, let's drip and let's really emphasize this line that I've created, this flow. And we'll just have some drips. I'll do it again, adding a few more speckles here and there at the top, and you'll get some of that flow look. I will take that and let it dry, and ta-da, that's a pretty cool background, I think. Now it's time to build on top of that. I am loving the background. It's exactly what I was thinking, but I do want to incorporate these pictures in, and I know they're going to be in the foreground, but I don't want them just stuck on the page. I do like to do things when I'm using scrapbook paper or collage pieces. I do like to do things over the top of them that brings them into the page. So I'm going to kind of spread them around. Again, not really a rhyme or reason, just them floating down the page. There are some that have words that I want to show, and I don't want to cover up the faces in an awkward way. So we're going to get all of those kind of coming down the page, and then I'm going to use some glue to put them down as opposed to adhesive tape. I feel like because there's so much paint behind it, I think the glue is going to hold better in the long run than the adhesive tape. I did have trouble making sure it stayed flat. You'll see me push everything down multiple times. I think it'll flatten out more once this closes, but like I said, I'm not going to close it for a little while. So it's not like everything is sealed perfectly. I could have maybe gone over with some Mod Podge, but it would have also reactivated the distress. So we're just gonna trust that even though some of the edges might be sticking up, these feel pretty secure on the page. Like I don't think they're going to be lifted from the page. I think that just some of the edges aren't totally lifted. I'm going to trim out, and I like that the colors seem to match really well with what I have going on in the background. That is just perfect. And the next thing I want to do, I considered matting these on black, but I thought I'm just going to pull out a paint pen and we're going to add some messy frames. And I do it messy on purpose because I don't trust myself to outline these perfectly, and messy is definitely the feel of what's going on here. So we're going to add just a few messy frames around all of these pictures. It helps them to pop. It brings in some more black, which of course you're seeing with some of the tissue paper that's going on in the background. And it makes it feel almost like they are actual pictures, like photographs that someone has taken. Although, I mean, they're definitely artwork. They're beautiful, beautiful artwork. But I like that feel of just the framed pieces just kind of falling down the page. Like I said, I always like to add something over the top of scrapbook paper or collage pieces. And in this case, I'm going to use a stencil and some purple Distress Oxide ink and add just a little bit more flow, a little bit more direction with the stencil down the page. And it layers well. It's going to go over some of these pieces, which is fine because it really matches the style of the piece. And so it's not going to look awkward on there. And I like that there's an element both on top and underneath that brings it all together. And that's really going to be it for this art journal entry. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider hitting that subscribe button and the bell notification button, and let me know down below if you like seeing these art journal videos, if you want me to keep making. I know it's pretty simple art journaling, but that's why I love sharing it, because I just want everyone to know that art journaling is for everyone. You don't have to be crazy talented. You can just have fun with color and texture and dimension and just really let your creativity go on your art journal. I will link all of the supplies that I use down below, so be sure to check those out if you are interested. And I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon members. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. It means the world. Be sure to check out Patreon. You can find the link for that in the description box below. All right, I hope that you have a fabulous day. And as always, keep it creative.